As a fourth generation grower, we've obviously grown fruit every which way possible, probably in the 100 years we've been in Colorado. I'm Steve Ela.
I'm Reagan Choi.
We're with Ela Family Farms. I'm a fourth generation fruit grower in western Colorado. So my family first started growing fruit in 1907 on the western slope. Growing up, we grew mostly pears. And we would get on the school bus at my grandma's house. So we'd walk across the orchard. My granddad planted a Jonathan tree in the middle of the pears so us kids would have a snack on the way home after school, that's another.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
My granddad used to grow apples, and to prevent worms in the apples, they actually sprayed lead arsenate. And then to get the lead arsenate off the apple, when you went to pack it, you ran it through a hydrochloric acid bath. Now that sounds wonderful to me. Then we were conventional growers growing up, and so we sprayed all the nasty chemicals that have probably been known to man. When I came back to the farm, we were really trying to get rid of a lot of those harsh chemistries, and so we eventually became certified organic. To me, organic is an ecosystem. The farm is an ecosystem that includes the people, includes our customers, but we want to use biological control to control as many insects as we can. And once we became organic, our aphid and mite problems disappeared because we have all these wonderful spiders and predators and things in the cover crops and in the trees that control a lot of other things. Tried a few years ago to help control the worms in the apples is this netting.
The worms come from a moth, and the moth actually pupates on the tree, which is why we didn't think it would work, because you're actually netting the worms in.
Not out, so it's kind of ironic. But what actually happens with the netting is it's very tight against the trees, and they fly up, but the netting disrupts their flight patterns, so they can't actually find each other. And so even though they're inside the net, the fact that they can't fly freely means that they can't mate, and then we don't have worms. And it's taken our damage from maybe 40% down to less than 2%, just kind of in 1 year.
Jonagolds are one of my favorite when they're ready.
No, those don't have the pizzazz.
No. One of the cool things about Jonagolds is they'll get enormous if they're thin on the tree, like almost to the size of a baby's head.
We've had like 1.5 pounds Jonagolds. The other thing we can check is whether the seeds are brown though.
Yep.
So that's another sign of maturity, is whether if the seeds are light green, it's not mature, but as they brown, they get it's more mature. And then you see kind of around the apple there's little cells that start to show up more, and those are called sugar cells because it's where the starch is converted to sugar, and those are starting to change. So these are really close, but just not quite. Apples actually have a natural wax on the skin, and so that's why as they polish it, it actually does show up as shiny, and so that's totally natural, totally beautiful. But then the best thing to do is taste it.
Or look at it for a little while because it's so pretty.
Yummy. Any time in the spring where it gets cold, and there's nights where you see the forecast, 4 days out, and your gut just your stomach clenches because you're in full bloom and you see a 24 or 23 degree night predicted, and you just hope that in this case the weatherman is wrong. But 2020 was notable because we were in the mega drought at that point, so we were struggling trying to water all the trees and just keep them happy. And then on October 20th we went to 8 degrees overnight. And that's just a really radical change that we usually don't get on this side of the mountains. The Front Range can get those big shifts, we don't.
Well, but it was a 70-degree drop in the space of a day.
So we lost about half of our peach trees that were just outright killed, and another bunch were damaged.
And it takes a lot of capital to replant. And so we really didn't know if we would be able to do it. But then when so many people reached out to us and wanted to help, like they wrote us letters or just sent us a check in the mail. We were practically in tears so many times when we got so many notes from people. It was So it was the worst and the best.
Yep, still makes me emotional.
Yeah.
We actually picked the first peaches off of these this year. People got crustaceans and JHO creaches off the trees they helped grow that first year. Yeah, and it's cool as you come up the road, this is the first block of trees of our orchards you see.
Yeah.
So it's a very fitting introduction to who we are.